Hi everyone, my name's Michelle, and today I'm going to be talking about a type of K-pop song I like to call the Mishmash song. You all know the types of songs I'm talking about. It's the ones that take two or more distinctly different styles of music, jam them together into one song, and sometimes it works, and sometimes it's a hot-ass mess. Oh my god! This video, of course, was inspired by Red Velvet's newest release. Zimzalabim, 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 zimzalabim. Personally, I really like the song. I think it does a good job combining all of the elements of their typical Red Side songs without making it too cutesy or sweet. But I totally understand why some people wouldn't enjoy it, and because of that, I just wanted to talk a little bit about some Mishmash songs and what I think makes them work or not work in my humble opinion. So the first song that I think of, and I think that most people think of when they think of Mishmash K-pop songs, is Girls' Generation's I Got a Boy. This is one that just doesn't work for me, and that's because they take the genre switches a little too far in my opinion, and oftentimes the section that they're switching into is something that I like way less than what they were doing before. Because of that, the song kind of gives me emotional whiplash. It keeps building and getting my hopes up only to completely crush those hopes and move on to something else. Whereas with something like Zimzalabim, it starts out relatively normal and treats the drastic tonal shift as a drop that only comes out in the chorus, and since I like that drop even more than what they were doing in the verses, I don't care that it completely switches genres out of nowhere. On the reverse side of this, we have something like Itzy's Dalla, which starts out booming and powerful and then switches to a more poppy melodic chorus, and because I liked what they were doing before the chorus, this tonal shift completely killed the momentum for me. It's all just a matter of perspective and what your personal music tastes are. Of course, it's also worth mentioning that your prior perception of the artist also goes a long way in determining whether or not you like a Mishmash song. Obviously, we're going to be more willing to keep an open mind about or give multiple listens to a song by our favorite artist than we would an artist we already don't like or haven't heard of before. That's what happened to me with FX's Red Light. At first listen, I thought the song was incredibly jarring, but because I loved that group so much, I was more than willing to keep listening to it over and over again until it started to grow on me. But for other groups that I'm much less dedicated to, I would have just said, this song's not for me, and moved on. Now thus far, all the songs I've talked about have been girl group songs, but there are examples of this from boy groups as well, songs like Super Junior's Swing or even, to a lesser degree, EXO's Tempo. Both are songs that I grew to love, but was very confused by on my first listen. I think Swing is a particularly interesting example because it tries for a drop chorus, but instead of just a plain old style change, it adds in this weird key change / modulation type thing as well. Forgive me, I don't really know music terminology, but you know what I'm saying, right? It's not like the two parts of the song aren't similar, they just sound really separate because the way the boys are singing changes. Tempo, on the other hand, I think represents a much more refined version of the I Got a Boy style. It starts out with that retro R&B sound that continues on into the chorus, and then moves on to a more modern sound with the rap verses, and then switches to a weird electronic dubsteppy place for a line or two before going back to the chorus, and then we have the modified chorus where they're just chanting, and then the a cappella section as well. It's a song that just keeps moving around and trying to outdo itself, but fittingly, the one thing that doesn't change is the tempo. That beat is almost like a freaking metronome, and it ties everything together beautifully. Some other non-SM Entertainment Mishmash songs I can think of off the top of my head include Blackpink's Kill This Love, 4 Minutes Hate, GOT7's Lullaby, and EXID's Dur Dur Dur. But I'm sure there are so many more. I think at this point Mishmash songs are kind of just a staple of the genre, and it's actually pretty cool. K-pop as we know it today is a genre that is very derivative. It developed because certain people wanted to take Western pop music and stylize it to fit Korean tastes, so it was already sort of an amalgamation of things. But Mishmash songs just take that concept to a whole nother level. And I personally don't think that this trend is going anywhere, especially not if Zimzalabim continues doing as well as it seems to be doing right now. That's basically all I have for this video. I know it was short and probably not that informative, but it was a subject that I haven't seen a lot of videos cover, so I just wanted to get it out there, you know? I'd love to know some of your guys' thoughts on Mishmash songs and some good examples that you can think of, so please do leave them in the comments below. Also, if you like this video, please subscribe. I make new videos every week, and if you need me before then, I'll be out here streaming Zimzalabim until my ears fall off. Okay, bye!